Hey everybody, welcome back to another PolitiBrawl video. It's your favorite reactionist, whatever you want to call it, Olivia Rondo. We are back again with another reaction video. Today, we are reviewing one of my favorite congresswomen, Nancy Mace from South Carolina. She had some interesting things to say about transgender athletes in women's sports. Let's go.
In your opening statement today, you said trans women are women. Ms. Goss-Graves, what is a woman?
So a woman is an adult female. A woman identifies as a woman, and I actually think it is.
What do you consider?
Ma'am, you cannot use circular reasoning to define a word. A woman is not somebody who just defines as a woman. It's interesting that she seems to realize that a woman is an adult human female, but then says, well, you can just identify as one. You can't identify as a female if you're not a female. Let's go.
Or female, what is a female?
So there are some women who were assigned a female.
You say you're here to defend women. You say you're here to defend women, but shouldn't you be able to define one? Shouldn't you be able to define one if you're for women's rights?
That's literally what I'm
Ms. Goss-Graves, do women have penises?
So again, I believe that women.
Democrats have gone so crazy. Women can have penises. That's not a thing. That's not biology. It's not science. And you sound like a lunatic.
And the women.
Should young girls just get used to penises in their locker rooms and showers? My next question, yes or no? Should little girls get used to penises in their locker rooms and showers? Yes or no?
I don't know what you're talking about, but what I
don't play dumb, lady. I don't know who this lady is. I guess she's a women's rights advocate. Who is this? Who is this? She's a Democratic witness at a hearing about, okay, Ms. Goss-Graves, whatever your name is. You sound like a lunatic. Nancy Mace was 100% correct. You sound dumb. You can't define the word. You said, oh, I'm sitting here trying to define the word. You can't. You quite literally have not defined it. Well, you did say the correct definition was, which is an adult human female, because that is the only thing a woman can be. That's the only thing a woman ever will be, is an adult human female. And the only people that can become women are adolescent human females, girls. It's so dumb. It's just like, are we even both people? Are we even both people? Are we both human beings? Because I feel like human beings have a definition that we use for the word women. And these other people, I don't know if they're lizard people or aliens or what. They just make stuff up. They just make stuff up. I'm getting pissed like way too early in the video, so we got a couple minutes. Let's continue.
Oh, I absolutely do. We've heard testimony today about trans women. Those are women with penises. Those aren't real women. I'm going to reclaim my time. When President Trump issued an executive order to keep men out of women's sports, thank God he did. You said it was sexist, bullying that harms all students.
Correct.
Is it sexist, yes or no, to protect women from men in sports? Yes or no?
If
can't answer the question. Is it sexist to acknowledge basic science? Men and women are built differently. Is it sexist to acknowledge science? Can't answer the question. Does forcing little girls to strip down in front of men in locker rooms harm girls? Does forcing little girls to strip down in front of men in the locker room?
Girl, you could answer the question instead of saying, I'm trying to answer the question. I would like to answer it. You could just say yes or no. Say what you believe. Honestly, the thing about these like transgender activists and stuff that really grinds my gears is a lot of times they don't really want to say it with their chest. They're just like, well, it just really is about empathy and compassion. It really is just about who identifies as what, and we should just accept. Say it with your chest. Say that you believe that a person with a penis can be a woman if he so chooses. Say it with your chest. Say that this little girl in the locker room, at a spa, at a gym, at a swimming pool, should be subjected to seeing a male with a D and B, a D and a pair of Bs. Say it. Just say it. Because that is literally what you are advocating for. That is what you are pushing for. That's what you want to happen in practice. Just say the words. Say that I want little girls to be able to see a grown man with a grown hanging genitalia in the locker room. Because that is what NCAA athletes had to do when they were swimming against Leah Thomas a couple of years ago. The transgender swimmer from Penn State, I believe, who was ranked like 500 amongst men. And then when she transitioned to women and competed against real women as a 6'3" grown ass man, grown arse man, sorry, is now number one in the country. Like, can we please be for real? Just say what you want to say, because those college girls, they had to deal with a grown man with the D and B's out in the locker room. That's what they said. That's what they had to deal with. I personally don't want to deal with that. Do you? I want to hear people's comments. If you're a woman, or if you have daughters, I feel like men with daughters should chime into this too. How do you feel about that? But let's continue, because I'm getting pissed off again.
Harm little girls, yes or no?
Can't
answer the question. Does forcing little girls to shower, I'm going to reclaim my time. You can quit talking. These are yes or no questions. You can answer them or not. And you've chosen not to answer the questions today because you don't know how. It's shameful.
You know how to answer.
Do you support drugging and chopping off kids' genitals in the name of inclusion? Is that a thing for you?
I have to say,
you get off on that?
So stunned.
All right, when a biological man crushes a girl in a contact sport and sends her to the ER, is that your idea of empowerment? Is that empowering women when a young man beats a girl and takes her, sends her to the ER in a contact sport? Is that empowering women? Is that what that is?
Are you talking about Miss McNabb?
I'm talking about any woman who gets crushed in a sport by a man physically and has to go to the ER.
Miss McNabb and others.
I'm going to reclaim my time.
Concussion protocol.
Madam Chair, we'll show that the witness. I'm going to reclaim my time. You can stop talking now. I'm reclaiming.
This is Ms. Mace's time, Ms. Goss-Graves.
I would like some of that time back, Madam Chair. If a man can be a woman, just identify.
Side note, I love that this is like these. I'm not sure who my favorite members of Congress are. I know who my favorite female members of Congress are. Actually, that's a lie. My favorite member of Congress is by far Thomas Massie. I don't know why that escaped me. But for the women, Marjorie Taylor Greene, my homie, and Nancy Mace. Both are my Twitter mutuals, so I'm super biased, but I do happen to like them both. And I love that MTG is the chair of this hearing, because it's just kind of just perfect. Let's go.
As a woman, as you say, just by saying so, what is the point of having women's sports? What is the point of women's spaces? What is the point of women's scholarships if you're just going to allow men to take them away? Why even bother? Why bother? The loudest voices, I'm not asking you a question, I'm speaking. The loudest voices on the left claiming to fight for women's rights are the very first people to take them away, steal them, and tear these women down. You're the first to erase them. Mr. Liefeld, Ms. Goss-Graves, you all are shameful. I didn't come here to play with an ideology hell-bent on erasing women and grooming children. That's what you all are. You're groomers. And we're not going to. The chairwoman and I, Madam Chair, I'm going to reclaim my.
This is Ms. Mace's time. Ms. Goss-Graves. Ms. Goss-Graves.
This is a shocking thing to say about
Ms. Goss-Graves, you are not recognized.
Okay, but I just want to say that is a shocking.
You are not recognized, Ms. Goss-Graves. The time belongs to Ms. Mace.
Okay, fine.
Like Chairwoman Graham, I've been holding the line for women, standing between perverts and the rights of women and girls, and we're not going to let anyone in this country forget what a woman is. Mr. Liefeld, will you face Ms. Stephanie Turner today? Will you look her in the eyes? Will you apologize to her for the way that she was treated by USA Fencing, standing up for women and girls, women's rights, standing her ground as a woman who only wanted to fence with other women? Will you apologize to her today?
Congresswoman Mace, Ms. Turner was given a black card under our rules.
Will you apologize for the way she was treated? So that's a no.
So,
won't do it.
Congresswoman, if I could respond to one thing.
You know what's unbecoming of a leader? You said this just in your testimony just like 5 minutes ago.
Yes, ma'am.
That you've said several things that are just disgusting and unbecoming of a leader, to use your words.
So for context, this is about a transgender male to female athlete being included in collegiate fencing, for context.
It's unbecoming of a leader today to acknowledge what has happened to this young woman. You just look at her face and look what she has been through, the courage it took her to stand up for her rights as a woman and other women in other sports all across the country. And you can't even, as a man, look her in the eye and apologize for what happened to her.
Boom. Boom. Wow, that was great. Oh my, I need to see my girls, MTG and Miss Mace, together. They tag teamed that. That was excellent. That was excellent, y'all. That was excellent. You know, I am really glad that I saw this video because I am a former collegiate athlete myself. For those who don't know, I was a collegiate wrestler against other women, but in high school, I'm from Maryland, so we don't have girl-sanctioned scholastic wrestling here, which basically because of Title IX, if your school or if your county, if your state does not have a girls version of that sport is technically going to be co-ed. So if you can make the boys team as a girl, you can wrestle and compete against boys in the state of Maryland. So that's what I did. So I can speak, I have firsthand experience of the difference, the biological strength difference between men and women. And even, you know, as compared to high school, like we're both going through puberty at the same time, I can totally attest to the difference. And then when I wrestled in college, I obviously wrestled grown women. It was still harder to wrestle high school boys compared to collegiate women. And just for context, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, y'all, but this is going to really contrast the difference here. So I started wrestling my freshman year of high school. By my sophomore year of high school, I had already placed third in the country amongst women. Amongst boys in my own county, in my own state, I was never state ranked. I don't believe I was ever county ranked or had any like notoriety against boys. I was an average wrestler against boys my sophomore year. I believe I had an even record. I think I was 6-6. But yeah, like if I was a boy, I would have been totally like a forgettable wrestler. And that's just the truth because 6-6 is a very like medium record. I wasn't terrible, but, and it honestly was impressive that I could beat boys and hold my own against boys, including boys from private schools, varsity, you know, seasoned wrestlers and stuff. But I really won off of technique. Winning off of strength was almost unheard of, especially if you're a new wrestler like myself. And I went on to become a 3-time national champion and 6-time All-American in high school girls wrestling. So just compare that to me not being county ranked, not being state ranked against boys. You could be at the top of the women's game and not even be on the radar in the men's game. And I'm not hating on myself. I'm a very accomplished wrestler and my technique is better than most men who have been wrestling for the same amount of time because I dedicated myself 24/7 to the sport. But I am not going to sit here and act like my whatever. I am stronger than the average woman too, but I'm not going to sit here and act like my strength, my technique is enough to, like, if I went on and wrestled collegiately against boys, I would have gotten my butt whooped. Like, it just wouldn't even have been funny. Like, so that's why I'm so passionate about this kind of stuff, because women do deserve separate spaces, not even as athletes, but also just in the world. Like, I wouldn't want to go to a gym where the locker room is not segregated. I even, you know, I live in a blue city. I've lived in a couple blue cities, and at a lot of places, restaurants, bars, there are now unisex bathrooms. I really don't like that. If it's a single stall, fine. But there are now unisex bathrooms where, you know, there's multiple stalls. And, you know, in America, a lot of the stalls have big cracks and they're super high off the floor. So you can see, you know, people's bags and people's feet underneath, and there's big cracks in the door and you can see it. Like, I really hate that. I really hate that. And, you know, maybe it's just because we're socialized to have sex segregated spaces. I think we should keep it like that. That's how the majority of Americans feel. That's how the majority of women feel. And it grinds my gears. It grinds my gears that we have women like this lady arguing and refusing to answer the Congresswoman's questions, who, she is a female. She's not transgender. That is a woman. I believe she's a woman who cannot define what a woman is, who thinks that being a female is something that's assigned at birth. That's another thing that I really hate. Your sex is not assigned at birth, people. It was observed. The doctor didn't look and guess and assign it to you based off of something that he just felt in his head. Like, I think that's going to grow up to be a woman. No, the doctor looked between your legs and observed your sex. Your sex was, your sex was assigned by God when you were still in the womb. I mean, even if you're not religious, you know, like, people can tell the sex. There's tests for that now, okay? We could tell the sex of the baby long before the baby is born. So nothing was assigned to you at birth. Please stop with that narrative. I love that Congresswoman Mace did not let up on this lady. I love that Congresswoman Green didn't let her take over the time and was like, okay, if you're not going to answer the questions, give Mace her time back. So yeah, I just, that was honestly just so delightful because it's two of my favorite congresswomen just going after the nonsense. So I want to know what you guys think. I have a feeling that most people are going to agree with me on this one because this isn't even like a crazy conservative view. This is like common sense. This is biology. This is, I mean, I really can't even begin to understand the psyche of a man who wants to beat up on women and goes so far as to transition into a woman to do so. But those people are real. Perverts are out here, man. They exist. And I don't have any kids, but if I do have a daughter someday, I hope that I can tell her this crazy thing was happening in the 2000s and the 2010s and 20s where we just accepted as a society that men could be women, but the real feminists, the real women, the real people for equality, men and women joined up together and said no. So now, little Olivia Jr., you don't have to wrestle men in college. You don't have to play fencing against men or swim against men. So I do hope I could tell my daughter that one day. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Please like, share, and subscribe to PolitiBrawl for more reaction videos and other great content. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.